En Camino is a work, it's very interesting because people who know me, who know my story, I am daughter of immigrants in Argentina. My parents both Auschwitz survivors, my mother from Hungary, my father from Poland. So people who know the history of my family think that I made this work thinking on my ancestors. But this work was born in year 2001, during one of our Argentinian crises, where many young people went away from Argentina, among them the daughters, both daughters of my husband, my stepdaughters. And for me, it was shocking because their grandparents came to Argentina from Europe to make a new life and to settle and to have their roots here. So for me, it was shocking to see so many young people going back away to the original places. Realize after working so much that all my works are born based on my feelings, but my interest, of course, is to represent many people. And this image of people moving around, and you know, in the world, this is not ending at all. So this is very touching, all the migrant situations, every place in the world. So look, I could make an exhibition only on the different versions of En Camino. It turned to be like an iconic image to me. I cannot tell you how many times it is reproduced in books, in flyers, internationally, because it seems that it really is touching something very very deep inside humanity nowadays. Was completely marked by the history of my parents. And my parents, not all Auschwitz survivors spoke so much. My parents spoke, and they transmitted a deep love to humanity, in spite of everything what they lived. And I feel that I have like the mission to tell a story that is not only referring to my own family, because my own family is only one, but this is history of humanity. And unfortunately, I must say that I feel that that people are not learning from the past, and many terrible things are still happening and arising all the time. But for me, it is an aim, a goal, to represent many. Of course, I do not represent everyone in the world, but perhaps first a tribe, let's say, a group, a little group, and to reach more audiences. I am not working for Jewish people only. I am working for an universal audience. All my projects, I never finish a project and begin another one, and it's old, the previous one. Everything is completely, you will find En Camino in all my nowadays projects also. It's everything is living together inside my works. And I said I will answer very concrete. For example, tattoos. You know, tattoos, ornamental tattoos are very, very common, of course, nowadays. but for me, they have a special meaning because I was raised, I grew embraced by numbered arms. And I remember very well, I used to ask when I was a little girl to my mother, why do you have that? And she answered, not to forget. And these were marks. For example, I have a project that is titled The Skin of Memory. The Skin of Memory is a title that I took from a phrase that said Delbo. It's not my invention, the phrase, but it represents me, the skin of memory. And continuing that, another one that is titled Embroidering on the Skin of Memory, because I received through the same technique, a needle, both a horrible feeling and also a very beautiful feeling, because my house, my maternal house, my parental house, I don't know in English how to say it, it's full of embroideries, Hungarian, my parents, Europeans. I am sure your grandparents' houses also, full of embroidery. So the needle brought to me an aesthetic, beautiful landscape together with a very painful message. I realize, I think most artists, we understand really what we are doing while we are doing. So this, what I will present, the title is Anti-Photo Album, Life Stories Rescued from the Trash. So, since I was a little girl, my parents came, everything comes from the past. When my parents arrived in Argentina, they came as refugees, as I said, hidden in clandestinity on a ship. So they brought nothing. So in my home, we had no photos, no images. Perhaps for that reason, I am an artist, I had to create images. So we had no photos, but the family stories were stories, only words with no faces. And since I was a very little girl, I was fascinated by photography. So when I looked photography, we had no photos. My friends came home. We had no grandparents or uncles or cousins photos. So I always, when I found a photo on the trash on the streets in Buenos Aires, I always picked those photos. Sometimes I put it in frames. I invented names. I gave names, family names. This is this and this, but I invented their faces. So I always, I'm used to that. I have photos from the street, and I brought them when I was grown up to my studio without any purpose. But suddenly, a few years ago, I discovered that I have a treasure, because I have very beautiful, wonderful old photos. You can't imagine what people throw to the street, and I understand young people, young apartments now are very small. Nobody has place to store that. So all this turned to be a big collection. And I began to organize an anti-album, because in an album, a photo album, you select the photos you want to keep. In this anti-album, all these photos were discarded, and I brought them to a new constellation. And I will explain why I say a constellation. Suddenly I realized that what I made is a 5.5 meters roll. I could, all the beautiful, beautiful old photos, no, but the ones that I can send some images, the ones that are regular photos, discarded photos, and many photos that were sent from family that remained abroad from many countries, or photos from here to Argentina that were dedicated to other people. So I cut it to thinking on a role, but afterwards I realized that it is an aesthetic representation of a glitch. I don't know if you know what a glitch is, but it is a term in technology when the screen is not working well, the machine, and it makes this, you cannot recognize the image.
So
and
to begin, could you please
realized
discuss
that this is what happens with memory. At the end of this roll, everything is like little pixels, and you don't know. This is what happens with memory. You have photos, you don't know this face, whose face was, and so it is a dance between remembering, rescuing, and oblivion, to forget. I don't know how to say in English. So this is the big role, and the very valuable, through this work also you can study the way the imposture, how they stood for a photo, how everything is mixed. A beach in Germany, someone received here from Germany, 1942, the war. No men in the beach, only women in the beach. I hanged this photo together with a photo family that I know that they didn't survive. So everything, the story of humanity appears, but it is also a map of immigration in Argentina, because all these photos, I have them in Buenos Aires. So, well, this is what I will present.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks to you.